Good evening. You're tuned in to EmoNews every moment online. In tonight's headlines, Northern Vicariat Lantern Retreat draws large crowd. NDFD to lead Dominica's Earth Hour 2026 observance. US-Israel attacks on Iran intensify as conflict escalates. Jamaica is preparing to launch a national action plan on women, peace and security. Spain rejects war, responds to Trump trade threat. And combined primary schools team tops West Zone football competition. Details of these stories and more coming up next. Stay with us.
Welcome to Antigua. Them people have no behavior. They have no behavior. Welcome to Antigua. Clear out how you know it's danger. How you know it's danger. When it comes to massive deadly.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm your presenter, Rick Francis, and this is the news broadcast for the 4th of March 2026. First up in local news, the National Development Foundation of Dominica, NDFD, will lead the national observance of Earth Hour 2026 on Saturday, March 28, under the global theme, 60 Minutes for the Planet. Earth Hour encourages individuals, institutions, and communities to dedicate 1 hour to meaningful environmental action. Since becoming Dominica's coordinating body in 2021, the NDFD has expanded the initiative through community cleanups, youth outreach, and environmental education across the island. For this year's observance, NDFD, in partnership with the Dominica Solid Waste Management Corporation, will engage students through a 3-tier competition. Secondary schools and Dominica State College will participate in a social media video challenge titled Be Real on Earth Hour, while primary schools will take part in a spoken word and poetry contest called Voices for the Earth. Preschools will also contribute by completing the phrase Earth Hour is in a short video submissions, with the winning entry becoming Dominica's official Earth Hour slogan for 2027. Schools placing in the top 3 in each category will receive hampers from corporate sponsors. Activities will take place during the week leading up to Earth Hour to allow greater participation. As part of the initiative, NDFD will also launch a life park at Waven Primary School featuring tree planting, cleanup, and beautification activities aimed at creating a sustainable green space for students. The NDFD is encouraging citizens, organizations, and businesses to participate by dedicating 60 minutes to positive environmental action during the week of Earth Hour. Persons can follow NDFD's social media platforms for more information on participation. At the OECS Pearl Technical Sustainability Summit being held in Dominica, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Robert Geist, representing the Minister of Education, delivered brief remarks emphasizing the importance of the summit. Geist highlighted how the OECS Pearl initiative has enhanced the education system across the region, particularly through improvements in teaching, learning, and the integration of technology in schools. He also underscored the importance of collaboration among stakeholders to ensure the long-term sustainability and continued impact of the program across OECS member states.
As the Permanent Secretary for the Ministry of Education, to welcome you to this OECS Pearl Technical Summit, Sustainability Summit, convened under the theme Bridging, Project and Legacy. Your presence here signals something important, that we are not content with temporary progress. We are here to secure permanence. And by the way, this is from the Minister. For nearly 5 years, the OECS Program for Educational Advancement and Relevance Learning, or the OECS Pearl, supported by the Global Partnership for Education, guided by the OECS Commission, and powered by the dedication of our educators. Pearl has reshaped how we think about curriculum, assessment, professional development, and system improvement across our member states. Today, we gather at the pivotal moment. The horizon of the project phase is in sight. But what stands before us is far more significant than project closure. It is the responsibility of institutionalization. The question before us is clear. How do we ensure that the gains of Pearl do not fade with funding cycles, personnel changes, or shifting priorities? How do we embed these advances so deeply into our systems that they become the new regional baseline for excellence? That is the purpose of this summit. Over the next 3 days, our technical teams will focus on the Gen 5, the core regional drivers transforming the OECS educational landscape.
The Northern Vicariat Lenten Retreat, held from March 2 to March 5, began with a strong turnout as parishioners from Salisbury to Penville gathered for a night of praise, worship, and reflection. The 4-night retreat opened at the Salisbury playing field and continued last evening at the Dubla playing field, attracting many faithful from across the northern communities. Preacher for the retreat, Father Nigel Karam, elaborated on the theme Walking Together as the Family of God, emphasizing the importance of walking together in faith and unity as a Christian community.
Walking with God. Now, walking in the Bible is very spiritual and very special. Throughout the scriptures, you have many people who were designated as people who walked with God. And to be called somebody who walks with God is very special. It means you have a deep relationship with God. It means that you have a connection to the Lord. It means there is a friendship happening. For somebody to be said, he walked with the Lord, or she walks with the Lord, is a special designation that shows the quality of our prayer and the quality of our relationship with God. And hopefully, my sisters and brothers, in one way or the other, we can all walk with God. That we're not just Catholics, we're not just Christians, we're not just disciples, but we are people who walk with the Lord every single day of our lives. That we do not desert the Lord. And because he himself does not desert us, we might sometimes desert him, but he never deserts us.
The retreat continues tonight at Borough Square in Portsmouth and will conclude on Thursday at Vicar's. And finally, in local news, the Fire and Ambulance Services Division has received a boost of its emergency response capabilities with the official handing over of 2 new fire trucks by the Minister of National Security. The ceremony took place earlier today, where Fire Chief Wayne Letard expressed appreciation for the addition of the new equipment, noting that it will strengthen the division's ability to respond quickly and effectively to emergencies across the island.
I would like to extend my gratitude to the government of Dominica, and as I said earlier, the Minister of National Security for his efforts in getting this done. When we came up with the plan, it was accepted immediately. And I would want to say thank you very much to the Minister for that.
Meanwhile, Minister for National Security, Rayburn Blackmore, highlighted the importance of the investment, stating that the new fire trucks will enhance the operational capacity of the fire and ambulance services and improve public safety.
It's committed to providing the fire services with the specialized equipment needed in order to ensure that you carry out a mandate. Whether it is in search and rescue, whether it is in disaster management, whether it is in emergency rescue or response, to provide you with what you need. May the good Lord continue to bless you, and thank you very much for your service to the country. Thank you.
The government says the new vehicles form part of ongoing efforts to mobilize emergency services and better protect communities throughout Dominica. And that's all for local news this evening. Stay tuned for regional news coming up next.
Blast Gaming presents its biggest job whatever. Blast Mystery Progressive. I'm so excited. I can't hide it. In new blast up and rising. And I like it. It going up and up and up and up and up. Blast up and up and up and up and up and up.
Play selected games to win in the Blast Mystery Progressive. Pick until you match 3 gems and win one of the 5 cash jackpots. Or you can blast up with the Mystery Progressive jackpot.
It going up and up and up and up and up. Blast up and up and up. Blast Gaming.
And now for regional news. Barbados and India have signed a memorandum of understanding to strengthen cooperation in healthcare and regulate the importation of medicines. Health Minister Senator Lisa Cummins and India's High Commissioner Subhash P. Gupta formalized the agreement, which will see Barbados adopting the Indian pharmacopoeia as a standard for imported and locally manufactured drugs. The move is expected to improve quality control and support the future work of the Barbados Drug Regulatory Authority. India will also provide technical support for the production of generic medicines in Barbados, helping to reduce costs and expand cooperation between the two countries. And now moving over to Jamaica. Jamaica is preparing to launch a national action plan on women, peace and security. Foreign Affairs Minister Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith made the announcement at the regional WPS Symposium in Kingston, hosted by the Jamaica Defense Force. She said consultations will begin this month to align global women, peace and security commitments with Jamaica's national priorities. The plan will focus on preventing conflict, protecting women and girls from violence and trafficking, and increasing women's participation in peace and security decision-making, while reinforcing efforts to dismantle gangs and strengthen national security. St. Lucia is participating in Roots Americas 2026 from March 3 to 6, with a high-level delegation focused on expanding the island's airlift network. The team is led by Chairman Thaddeus Antwine and includes Mario Reyes, Chairperson of the Airlift Committee, Jevan Lewis, Business Intelligence Manager at the St. Lucia Tourism Authority, and representatives from the St. Lucia Air and Seaports Authority, including General Manager Darren Sinak and Director of Airports Amy Charles. Roots Americas is a key aviation development forum that connects airline network planners, airports, and tourism authorities through pre-scheduled meetings to negotiate and expand air service routes. St. Lucia's priority is to strengthen and diversify airlift from the United States, the United Kingdom, and Europe, while also creating sustainable connections into Latin America in alignment with its long-term tourism strategy. And finally, the Martinique Tourism Authority highlighted growing demand from the U.S. market during the South Florida Travel and Adventure Show in Fort Lauderdale last weekend. Senior Sales Account Manager for American Airlines, Glenn Heilbron, said the airline's non-stop service from Miami to Martinique continues to perform strongly with high demand and load factors. The airline is also exploring opportunities to expand service. Director for the Americas for the Martinique Tourism Authority, Muriel Wiltord, emphasized the island's villa accommodations and unique culinary culture influenced by African, French, and Creole traditions as more attractions for travelers. Martinique also received the Best Booth Activation Award at the show for its interactive display showcasing the island's culture, cuisine, and travel experiences. And that's all for regional news this evening. Stay tuned for international news coming up next.
We're at the different phases in life. We move at a different pace. All we need is to be supported. Cause when the baby's coming, business needs revamping, the new job's starting, and you need an outfit. Let momentum hook you up. Momentum will hook you up. The wedding's planning, rent due dates coming. Momentum is your support financing. Let momentum hook you up. Momentum will hook you up.
And now for international news. The U.S. military has identified 4 of the 6 soldiers killed after a drone attack struck a command center in Port Shuaba, Kuwait. Those named are Captain Cody Cork, Sergeant Noah Tegens, Sergeant Nicole Amor, and Sergeant Declan Cody, all members of the U.S. Army Reserve. 2 other service members have not yet been identified. Officials say the unmanned aircraft evaded air defenses and hit the facility on Sunday. The deaths mark the first confirmed U.S. military fatalities since the United States launched a new war against Iran alongside Israel. Meanwhile, 3 U.S. fighter jets were also downed in Kuwait in what the U.S. military described as a friendly fire incident, though all pilots survived after ejecting. Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez has strongly criticized the ongoing U.S. and Israeli strikes against Iran, describing the escalating conflict as a disaster. His comments come after U.S. President Donald Trump threatened to cut off trade with Spain after the Spanish government refused to allow U.S. military bases on its territory to be used in the attacks. In a televised address, Sanchez warned that major wars often begin through miscalculations and urged world leaders to learn from the past conflicts. He summarized Spain's position with a clear message: no to war. Trump has also criticized Spain for not meeting NATO's proposed defense spending target of 5% of GDP. However, analysts say any attempt by the United States to cut trade with Spain could be complicated, since trade agreements are negotiated collectively by the European Union. And finally, the conflict between the United States, Israel, and Iran has entered its 5th day with heavy airstrikes reported across several Iranian cities. Iran has responded with missile and drone attacks targeting Israel and U.S. allies in the Gulf, forcing residents in cities such as Jerusalem and Tel Aviv to seek shelter as air defenses intercepted incoming strikes. Iran's Red Crescent says at least 787 people have been killed in the U.S.-Israeli attacks so far. Despite growing casualties and regional tensions, there are no signs of de-escalation, with both sides continuing military operations across the region. And that's all for international news this evening. Stay tuned for the sports segment coming up next.
Don't forget, today we have funeral, we have functions. Make sure you're on time.
Always on time, eh?
You're always on time. Make sure. All right. Papa Met, look, I just received a message from National Bank asking me to regain access to my account. Look at a message that your account has been placed on hold due to an unusual activity. Let me click that link.
How many times NBD has to say that they will never ever send links via text message to regain access to account or to restore account or to do anything with account?
So National Bank that's in it, I believe it. I just click in.
Emo, if you are not sure, it's better if you call National Bank at 255-2300 or email them at customersupport@nbd.dm.
Papa Met, little again I lose all the little money I save up from my account.
And you'd find money to pay me.
Yeah, I tell you, I almost click link and almost lose my money. You're talking about I hope I have money to pay you. Let's go, eh?
All I know is don't click any link. Call NBD instead.
So let us go to our business.
And now for the sports segment. The Dominica Cricket Association has launched its Hit the Schools initiative, visiting Roseau Seventh-day Adventist and St. Luke's primary schools to teach students the fundamentals of the sport and highlight career opportunities in cricket. West Indies and Dominican player Calvin Hodge joined the effort, inspiring students by sharing his journey. Each school also received cricket kits, with the drive continuing at St. Mary's Primary School. Also in sports, the Mount Prosper, Trafalgar and Wharton Waven Primary Schools combined team topped the West Zone of the National Bank of Dominica Sports Division Primary Schools Development Division football competition on Tuesday, March 3 in Newtown. 3 of the 4 schools scheduled to compete were present. Mount Prosper, Trafalgar, Wharton Waven and Soufriere Primary School both finished with 4 points, recording 1 win and 1 draw from the 2 matches. However, the combined Mount Prosper, Trafalgar, Wharton Waven team secured the top spot on goal difference, finishing with +2 compared to Soufriere Primary's +1. Lorenzo Hector of Soufriere Primary School and Shulamit Stevens of the Mount Prosper Trafalgar Wharton Waven combined team are currently the top goal scorers, with 2 goals each. The Mount Prosper Trafalgar Wharton Waven team also recorded the highest number of goals in the zone with 3. 2 games were played in the Sports Division Secondary Schools Basketball Championship at the Windsor Park Stadium forecourt. In the opening game of the Girls Division, Convent High School, CHS, defeated Pierre Charles Secondary School, PCSS, 41-36. Leading scorers for CHS were Amelia Bruno with 16 points and Sadie Walsh with 14 points. For PCSS, Kayana Hillier scored 17 points, while Nehelia John added 14 points. In the second game, Pierre Charles Secondary School, PCSS, secured a convincing 64-25 victory over Orion Academy. Top scorers for PCSS were Kieron Henderson with 17 points, Milton Thomas with 16 points, and Kaylan George with 14 points. Kibwe John Baptist led the scoring for Orion Academy with 9 points. And finally in sports, The Dominica Cricket Association, DCA, has announced a 26-member under-19 training squad as preparations begin for the Windward Islands under-19 tournament, which is scheduled to be held in Dominica this April.
The Dominica Cricket Association is pleased to announce the following players who have been called to training as part of preparations for the upcoming Windward Islands Under-19 tournament scheduled to be held in Dominica this April. The selected players are Arsenio Fontaine, Libert Daru, Kenneth Valmon, Derwin Lewis, Nian Davis, Kellen Christmas, Dylan John, Derwan Benjamin, Vince Daru, Aidan Burton, Sean Joseph, Alex Armstrong, Elon Pascal, Chris Toussaint, Dante Benjamin, Jalen Bruno, Dylan Joseph, Kester Lestrade, Mackay Paul, Darren Ellick, Zayden Cornelius, Ryan Alfred, Drante Ogis, Khalil Martin, Lionel Lando, and Tylon Theophil. The Dominica Cricket Association extends congratulations to all selected players and encourages them to demonstrate commitment, discipline, and sportsmanship throughout the preparation period. Further updates regarding training schedules and final team selection will be communicated in due course.
And that's all for the sports segment. Stay tuned for the weather report coming up next. And now for the weather report. Tonight across Dominica, expect partly cloudy to cloudy conditions with a few passing showers and breezy winds. Temperatures will fall to a minimum of about 22 degrees Celsius or 72 degrees Fahrenheit. Winds will be east-northeast to east at 20 to 40 kilometers per hour, with higher gusts at times. At sea, conditions will remain moderate, with waves between 2.0 and 3.0 meters, or 7 to 10 feet. A small craft advisory and high surf advisory remain in effect, so mariners, sea bathers, and coastal residents are advised to exercise caution, particularly along the eastern coastline. Stay tuned for further updates and have a safe night. And this brings us to the end of tonight's news broadcast for the 4th of March 2026. I'm your presenter, Rick Francis. On behalf of the entire newscast, we say thank you for viewing. This is Emo Nightly News, every moment online. Good night.